Just this past Tuesday, I had a student struggling with science homework, actually math skills, but for my science class, he was almost mute about what he needed, what he didn't understand, no matter how much I tried to guide him through unit conversions. The study period was ending, and I had to let him go with little progress made. As he was packing up, he told me I'll try it again after art class. I'm usually smarter at this, after I do some art. I thought that was an interesting observation, and I asked him why he thought that might be the case. He said, "I'm pretty good at art. It's easier to try hard stuff while I still feel like I'm good at something because I want to keep feeling like that." That's the entire educational psychology argument for fostering a sense of competency and the support of intrinsic motivation, in the fewest words possible. I actually think he's one of my smartest students, really. He just struggles to make it show on paper. I teach ESL. I had a student about 7, and we were all doing the workbook. The lesson revolved around things like big and small, old and new, clean and dirty, as well as toys, like dolls, balls, yo-yos, and this slash that slash these slash those. It is easily one of my least favorite lessons, because it really is a lot for the young students to understand. The photo was a boy pointing to a desk with a few small, round objects on it. The girl was taking forever, but she always seemed a bit slower in class, and so I wasn't too shocked. I was checking the other students' work, and figured she would finish in time and I would help her at the correction stage. Finally she makes it up to my desk, and I get to the picture. The obvious answer was these are small balls. What did she have though? These are marbles. The kids hadn't even learned that word. How she came up with it left me absolutely baffled, but from that point on, I never questioned her intelligence. I figured she just knew different things, but it didn't mean she didn't understand. She clearly just spent 30 minutes racking her brain for the best word for small balls. ESL. Every day is a surprise. I hate the word in describing this kiddo, and it wasn't so much what she said, but did. She certainly wasn't stupid, but as an at-risk youth counselor I can say she was very low functioning. She went AWOL one night out to the blue. Not one staff saw her leave. Usually when this happens, kids go do dumb kid stuff like going to a park to drink and smoke, teenage shit. Well, we didn't see her for 2 days. We finally got a phone call from a person who had taken her in, 400 some miles away. When she got back to our facility she had this nervous look, knowing I was gonna scold her. I didn't. I was too fucking impressed. I asked her how she did it, and she said she kept hopping buses. I guess none of the drivers had the heart to kick her off, so there she went. I took a very big risk in the fact that I congratulated her on her journey. Her eyes lit up when I told her she had managed to travel farther than any kid that had ever gone AWOL. She never did it again and actually graduated the program with SUSIS. Still a budger, but I'll always remember that budger. Used to teach chess to elementary level kids. Would run chess camp over the summer. 20 to 40 kids come in every day for a full school day, but every period is basically a chess class. Lasts a week. On the first day, I would tell kids they need to lose to get better, which is true in a game like chess, especially in the beginning. I would tell them you have to lose 50 games before you can improve in chess. Well, on about day 3 I'm walking from the field to the class and see one of my students, 2nd grader, walking the other direction, and ask him offhand how's chess going, and he responds, well, I've lost all of my games, so I guess I'm doing great. When I was teaching grade 5 a few years back, I had a student who really struggled academically and misbehaved a lot. During one of his punishments, which was washing dishes with me from our morning breakfast time, I straight up asked him why he kept getting into trouble. The boy admitting that he just knew that if he misbehaved he would get to spend time with me 1:1 and we would talk about life and his hobbies and such. I found out later on that his father had been incarcerated for pretty much the entirety of the boy's life. So, the stupidest and most misbehaved kid in the class was actually just playing the system the whole time and really just needed a positive male role model in his life. After that, I told him he didn't need to act up in order to spend time with me. He could just ask for extra responsibility and I would give it to him. He was, mostly, better behaved after that. I miss him a lot. Edit. I'm absolutely flabbergasted by the response to this post. I didn't think anyone would see it. I appreciate you all. All I can say is, spend some time to talk to someone in need. Elementary school. I worked in the school admin office for a while. We had a cop come in to speak to the kids, basically to warn them on the dangers of strangers and random people speaking to them in the street. The cop was great and told the kids how they should always be careful and that some bad men might take them away from their mummies and daddies. One kid puts his hand up and asks the question, so what will happen if we go with one of these stranger men? The cop wasn't prepared for that question and just said how sad it would be and how his parents would miss him. A few days later a new buzzword was going around the school which phonetically sounded like pedophile. The kid had looked up online or spoke to someone and then told the other kids and schools about what pedophiles do. It scared the hell out of some of the kids and the principal had to come to each class to calm the kids down. I took Russian 101 and it was something similar, although not half the class. There were these 3 guys in there who were Russian and speaking it fluently. 2 of them were cool though, but the one was awful to have class with. He was just unbelievably obnoxious. When other students would raise their hands to try to answer in Russian, he would just yell out the answer every single time. As a class we were like, we get it, you speak Russian, can you leave and let us learn? Even his 2 Russian friends were like, dude, chill out. This one day, he got in an argument with the teacher because she translated something and he was saying that her translation was wrong. She tried to just give it up and move on when he literally called his dad in the middle of class and was telling him to tell her that it was wrong. At this point, he was being so obnoxious and rude that the entire class actually walked out, except his 2 friends. The teacher was a young girl, literally, we were all general college age, like 18 to 20, and she had to have been her late 20s at most. She was in grad school in Russia and this was her study abroad. She was very timid, and you could tell she had a really tough time when trying to navigate how to handle this student. We all walked out and told her we won't come back until she talks to the dean and tells him how disruptive this guy is. Finally, after the walkout, she got help from the dean who had him removed from the class. TLDR, a guy in my class who spoke Russian was crazy obnoxious and thrown out after the entire class walked out. In high school I took 3 years of German, and then in my senior year I switched to Italian for some reason. The same teacher taught both Italian and German. At one point during the year, we had a basic homework assignment, just simple questions that we were supposed to write answers for, you know the type. Making sure we can read basic Italian words and respond with basic ones. I answered the entire thing in German by mistake. He did give me full marks on it because he said in order for me to do that and do it correctly, it was obvious that I was understanding the Italian, translating it to English, and then translating that to German. So it did show an understanding of the language. I had to keep reminding myself the rest of the year to make sure I was, in fact, writing in the correct language. I have a student in my class with autism. He is very high functioning, but he is a couple years behind his grade level. We were discussing the American Revolution, and one of the vocab words we had was tyrannical leader. I jokingly told the class that if I was ever the leader of the country that's the kind of leader I would be, and I went on to say that all of your teachers would be that way too. Most of the class looked at me blankly, but this one kid with autism understood what I was saying and looked at me, and while trying to contain his laughter says, well, that's because all teachers have a superiority complex. I just couldn't help but laugh in front of the class for the next 5 minutes. I don't wanna be dumb like my mama. Teacher at an inner city school for a time where almost all the students had free breakfast and lunch. Written about it before. Lots of the kids realized and knew they were in a no-win situation and a downward spiral in terms of education and situation in life. Quite a number of them tried their damnedest though to get out of it. Lots of times the kids don't know what is awaiting them at home. Many parents don't read to their kids or help them with homework. Many just can't because they themselves barely have an education or they are in just bad situations. One student came in and said their mama chose to pay the cable TV bill over the hot water bill, and another week their mom shot themselves in the hand with a gun she borrowed from some guy. Later the same mom chose to pay her cell phone bill over electricity, and that student had enough and decided to start studying and try to climb out. There is hope. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more daily 6 PM Reddit uploads.